Welcome to ECN Trade Daily Video. Before we begin, it should be noted that any advice is of a general nature only and that your personal circumstances have not been taken into consideration.
Hello everyone, my name is Rob Clayton and thank you for joining me. So the Australian dollar plummeted on Wednesday, but it found good support right where that bullish outside range day is, and that was around 69, 60, 70 area. From the rebound, the technicals are trying to improve and therefore could see a further gain if we find a challenge beyond 70.70. But I feel that is unlikely and we could see one more test down and then from that key area of 69, 60, 70, a recovery back to 71.5 and reassess from there. As widely expected, the Federal Reserve left rates unchanged at 3.5 to 3.75%, but delivered a hawkish surprise by rising inflation forecast, lifting rate projections through to 2026 and removing language that had previously pointed to a future rate cut. The Fed's higher for longer stance helped underpin the US dollar, but still remains relatively firm against most of the currencies. So let's see how the market unfolds and see if we do get a bounce. Euro, well, that also plummeted heavily as the DXY rallied. But with Kevin Walsh's first chair federal sit-in, the market was quite surprised on how hawkish he was, considering Trump wants an easing bias. That's not happening as of yet. Nevertheless, technicals are weak, and as I was foretelling, that the downside could be the major risk, and it still remains that point around 114.5 to 114.75. Then we could expect a correction, which I feel is likely to 117 to 118. Dollar yen, well, the market is still pressing higher and still in uncertain territory when it comes to recent interventions. Let's see how the market plays. It's very persistent and very sort of eyes closed as it moves up. So let's see if the Bank of Japan does take a trip to memory lane and just show the market how it can perform if the supply gets increasingly heavy. Sterling also took a hit and looking back towards the bottom side of its range around 132.55. I feel from there could get a bounce if we retest that level and let's see if it can recover like some of the other markets. The market is still holding well underneath this trend line of 4,400 and still posing a slight threat as it wants to re-challenge that area again. If we can get a break, then all eyes will look towards 4,700 as a potential target. And oil, well, the market still remains weak. And where it began after the start of the US-Iran war, the market is looking focused on that level around $67 a barrel. Negative candles, we are oversold, but a strong ADX could see that briefly there before the bounce. That's a wrap. Thank you for joining me. And as always, look out the intraday report. Enjoy the great start to the day.